So this video is going to kind of cover the basics for den leaders and Scoutbook, as you can tell by the amazing title. The first thing though is you only can really follow these steps if you are a den leader, an assistant den leader, or potentially given den admin roles. And I know the quality is not going to be fantastic on some of the images I have here, but let's just kind of zoom in and show you what I have here. So we have a den admin, assistant den leader, den admin, den leader, and just den admin. So this person, G, is the assistant den leader for this wolf den, and then Mr. C is the actual den leader. He's the den leader, and then Mr. P is a parent. And this is not uncommon for a parent to be given den admin roles as well. That way the parent can support the den leader and the assistant den leader, and quite often you have a parent who just helps keep track of what happened, and that way the den leaders are just primarily responsible for planning the den meeting, and some parent might be in charge of keeping track of who was there. Speaking of who was there, zoomed in too much, just a second. We can see that there are 3 scouts listed here. I know it says 5, there's actually a couple more, but for this video I'm pretending that we have scouts G, M, and P. And you can see that what rank they made. This scout was in and earned the Tiger, but did not earn and earned Bobcat. This scout did not earn Tiger last year, just earned Bobcat. And you can also see that they are synced up. This red A with like that means they're completely in the pack. Everything's been taken care of. Okay, so what are we going to do? So there's a couple different things, but most of the time when you're entering den adventures and advancement type stuff, you're going to scroll to the bottom. So what do we see down at the bottom? At the bottom, we see several options from the den level. We see the Connections Manager. If you click on Connections Manager, it's going to tell you who has control over the scouts, not or the scouts, who has control for those scouts. A little typo there. And whoever has control for those scouts should be your den leader. It's probably the Cub Master, myself, maybe a committee chairman also has control over them. And a couple other random adults, but primarily you should see their parents, the den leaders, and then a couple other upper level pack leaders. Send messages. Well, if they have entered their email addresses into Scoutbook, then you could email the parents through Scoutbook. I don't typically use this option. Quick entry. That's going to be our focus today. Remember, quick entry. That's where you're going to probably click the most often, and I'll talk about that a great deal from here after this page. Den reports. Den reports. This could be helpful to a lot of you. If you want to know who's completed something, you can go through here. What's their activity log? We don't use the payment log report in Scoutbook. But usually this might be what you're doing for the den reports. Needs approval report. Don't forget this. I'm going to talk about needs approval reports again and again throughout the thing, and that means you would click on den reports and go to the needs approval report. Print roster is exactly what it sounds like. Edit den. I don't think you can actually change this. I think you have to be a pack administrator to be able to change this. But I just decided to add the note, don't touch. Edit den is really for people who want to, change the title of the den. They want to end the den. Sometimes dens fold because their membership dwindles or something like that. Let the pack admin handle edit the den. Okay, so let's go to quick entry. Click, click. Yes, I just said click, click. So you click quick entry and you have a whole myriad of options. Enter rank requirement. We're going to go over this one. It is used when a scout is finishing up rank. This is one of the last things we're going to go over because it's probably one of the last things you do. I think it's kind of weird that it's listed first. That threw me off the first time I used it. Enter adventures. This is probably one that's used the most throughout the year. We're going to go over this one first right after this. Enter achievements. These are also kind of like adventures, same like enter electives, often used throughout the year. Academic sports, enter awards. These are special things that someone might do. Service log. So Scout Book is really designed for everything from your kindergartners through your 12th graders. And when you become a Boy Scout, you do have to keep track of your service hours, scouting for food, maybe you did a trash cleanup around town, who knows. But you have to keep track of those hours, and this is where you would do that. Our scouts aren't required to keep a service log, so don't feel like you need to add another thing to your list. Camping log, again, same idea, is that you don't have to have a camping log for Cub Scouts, but it is kind of a thing in Boy Scouts. And then the hiking log. Since our pack does the hiking sticks and hiking awards, help the pack keep track of hiking. If your den goes on a hike, yes, your den can go on a hike without the rest of us. You can enter it right here. You just click on it and then follow the prompts. All right, so let's go to entering adventures. So when you click on enter adventures, you're going to first choose which adventure you're talking about. And so I picked the Council Fire or Duty to Country adventure. So you click the drop-down menu and you pick the one you're working on. And then, you know what, from now on it's always going to be the 2016 requirements. Don't ever need to mess with that. And then the date completed. So there's two ways to do this. You might have 2 or 3 den meetings we're working on the Council Fire. You might click, 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 click. Or you might come in and do them all when you're done with it. And either way is fine. Either way is fine. You can pick the date that you finished everything and click select all, or you can say on the 2nd we did 1 and 2, and then on the 8th we did 4 and 5, and then we finished it up on the 12th, boom, boom. You can do it either way. I prefer the select all method. That way I'm not hitting Scout Book quite as often. It's your call. However, below this, just off the screen, you'll see choose, just off the screen, you would see choose the scouts. So which scouts participated? So it looks like Scout G was at all the meetings where we did the Council Fire, and Scout P was also at them. So I've just selected those 2, and then I hit select all. And so they would have, in Scout Book, those requirements be filled out for G and for Scout P. And then the last thing is approved/recorded. This is you as the den leader can approve that they did this. Parents can also go in and do this, but they can't click the approved button. That's not an option for parents. That's only an option for den leaders up to Scoutmasters, Cubmasters. So they can't do the approved button. You can though. More on that in a little bit. So then you would hit submit, and all of these 2 scouts would have everything done for here. And if you click that approved button, it's also going to generate in the purchase order for our pack. Electives. So electives aren't nearly as intensive as the required adventures. It's kind of the same idea though. You pick the date that you did the elective, you select the scouts, and man, Scout M keeps missing meetings. Oh man. Of course this is just fictitious. And then you go through and you select what things they completed, and they've got all of the electives. This goes all the way down to 15 on the actual page. But maybe one meeting you did, A, B, C, and D for at 1, and you did E for number 2. You could select all of those things at once. Or, maybe you got together as a den for a weekend and you did 2 electives in one fun weekend. That sounds like a fun day. Maybe you did a morning and an afternoon electives day. And so you could fill in all of the electives from the morning, all of the electives from the afternoon, hit approved again, make sure you hit approved, and then submit, and these scouts that attended will get records for that. Okay, so remember how I said that Scout M has missed a bunch of meetings? It's okay, they can still do that. Individual scouts can work on their own. Their parents can go in and they can fill out the same information. They just go into Scoutbook, they click on the scout directly, and they can add the electives, they can add the specific thing. So here, look, Council Fire, 0% done for Scout M. So we're going to click on that, and then we would go through and add their stuff. But they can't do the approved part. So you as the den leader are going to have to go back in and click the approved part. That's the only hitch there, is the parent needs to communicate to you. And earlier I said needs approval report. Don't forget that. So if you run a den report occasionally, you might see some parents are working on things with their scouts, and those things still need to be approved, and that's where you come in. You can do a needs approval report and see that, you know, that scout has been working at home with his mom or dad, Scout M, with his mom or dad completing these things because they have baseball practice the same night as your den meeting. Okay, and then who made rank? So if you're using Scoutbook all year long, like you should be, then you should see a lot of these things get filled out as you go. You know, you did Call of the Wild, you did Council Fire, you did Duty to God. All of these things will populate themselves as you go along because you're filling them out and submitting. They will just happen all throughout the year. And so when you get to the end of the year, this part should be pretty easy. Most of these things will be filled out already. It's not uncommon for parents to forget to do the pamphlet exercise. Please emphasize that. In the beginning of the book, there's a conversation about responsibilities, about appropriate behavior at den meetings and appropriate adult behavior. And then, of course, there's also the Cyber Chip Award. That's, I think, right here, but I cut it off. They have the Cyber Chip Award. They also need to do that. And they need to, go into Scoutbook. I know some dens, the parents will email the den leader and say, we completed the pamphlet exercise, we completed that, and they'll ask the den leader to do it, because some parents just aren't comfortable with Scoutbook. But don't forget, you can elect to have a den admin. Remember I said this den admin. Just let us know which parent's going to be your den admin, and we can add them as an admin for the den, and then your den can communicate to that parent, and they can help you keep track. And it really will make things easier on you, instead of you having to constantly go into Scoutbook and prepare for meetings and this and that. If you have a den admin, that really helps out. So it's the spring, and your scouts have completed all of their ranks. You're going to go in here, you're going to select the date that they've completed their ranks, and then click Leader Approved. And of course it will have you choose scouts. And bam, like magic, look, there's the scouts. And hey, look, you're checking M this time. And the reason you feel you can check M is because you've been communicating with that scout about all of the adventures they've been making up throughout the year when they missed meetings. And now you've got your rank done. And that is the primary use of Scoutbook, is helping you keep track of your scouts' progress through awards and adventures, and it helps communicate to the person in the pack who does the purchasing. So every time you click approved, automatically they will go over to the purchase report side. Let me show you what I mean. So yeah, after you click Leader Approved, then that goes to a pack-wide order, and the purchase order is generated by whomever within the pack is going to go to pick up the awards. Typically this is someone called the advancement chair, and a list of all of the adventures that have been completed since the last time are generated, and the advancement chair goes in and just usually clicks select all and adds all of those adventures as awards to a PO, a purchase order. And this is PO blah 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 blah, and then this is one snapshot, and it goes ahead. Scoutbook, and this is one of the things that we like about Scoutbook that impacts the purchasing side, is that it generates the purchase order for us. It tells us how much it's going to cost the pack, and the person can generate a PDF of this and show up at the Scout store with the entire list and hand it to them, and then they'll fill the order for us. And we don't have to, spend an hour digging through the store. You can just hand it to them and they fill it out. But this is all predicated, this purchase order side is predicated on you clicking that leader approved button again and again and again, and so that it gets run correctly. So we usually have a monthly purchase run, and an email is sent out reminding people, hey, go through and submit your approvals. And you submit your approvals, and that means that they will show up on the purchase order. All right? I hope that this has helped you understand how to navigate Scoutbook. I think we got lost a little bit in the minutia in the background, but it's not too hard. Good luck, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Have a good day.